Greetings to our lecturer, Miss Angie and Miss Zirwa, and my course mates. Today, my group and I are going to give a presentation on ancient Rome. My group members consist of Shin Ken Men, Elroy Roch, Kelvin Lim Kai Wen, Naveen A Ramakrishnan, Cai En, Hui Ying, Poh Huey Mun, and Teoh, Yuan, Fern. Now, let's start our presentation. First, I'm going to talk about geographical location. Did you know that Romans are basically ancient Italians? So because of that, the Italic civilization that began on the Italian peninsula as early as about 8th century BC. Rome is in the Lazio region of central Italy and the Tiber River, Italian for Tiber. The Tiber River was the main source of water and mode of transportation for most of the people in the era. The original settlement was located in a cluster of 7 mountains known as the Palatine Hills. It was the only natural fort located in the area. This is the plan of Rome in the Middle Ages. These are artist's rendition of how Rome looked like back then. As you can see, most of the cities are clustered together and they were built close to rivers. The existence of Roman civilization, including the Eastern and Roman Empire, spanned 3 climatological periods. Firstly, early sub-Atlantic, secondly, mid-sub-Atlantic, and lastly, of course, late sub-Atlantic. The empire's greatest extent under Trajan coincided with the so-called Roman climatic optimum. The climate change occurred at different rates, apparent near stasis during the early empire to rapid fluctuations during the late empire.
The major religion in Italy is Roman Catholicism. Roman Catholicism makes up 90% of the population, while the other 10% is composed of Protestants, Jewish, and a growing Muslim immigrant community. Culture practices and customs dictate religion ritual offering. Rome culture is an eclectic mix of high culture, the arts, fashion, and historic architecture. This cultivation of the appropriate bond with the divine found is unlimited expression of religion through ritual. The earliest Italian gods were called Numia, singular Numen, and they were more like nature spirits. In order for these gods to function in a way which was beneficial to humanity, they required propitiation through rituals such as animal sacrifice. In order to maintain the peace of the god, the ritual and prayers governing such sacrifices had to be performed exactly as prescribed by tradition.
In the economy of ancient Rome was an agrarian and slave-based economy, so they can feed the vast number of citizens that populate in Mediterranean region. And the staple crops of Roman farmers in Italy are grains, olive, and grapes. Outside of the foodstuff are olive oil and wine. Farmers can donate their surplus crops to pay for their tax. This also allowed both republicans and imperial rulers to gain popularity with masses through free grain distribution. And then they can help to feed the legends and not direct monetary cost. Mining is also the largest industry in ancient Rome. They provide stones for the enormous buildings, metals for tools and weapons. Greek and Northern Italy provide marble for the buildings that are the ancient and modern people. These are the examples of the mining region in the empire. Ancient Roman, they also tradings. They provide traded among themselves, but trade extend outside to the frontier to regions like China and India. The main commodity of the trading are grains, cereal, wine, and olive. They also export in large quantity of precious metal, marble, and spices. Other than that, they also trade some foodstuff, prepared foods, and animal products. They also traded objects like wood, glasses, metal, textile, pottery, and other material. And for manufacturing and construction of glasses, marble, wood, wool, and other things. Other than that, because in their era they have slaves, so they also trade their slave.
Pantheon is a public building. It was the first built as a temple to all gods. Do you guys know what does Pantheon means? It means honor all gods. And this picture shows region 9 Circus Flaminius Rome in Italy. first guy is Marcus Agrippa. During the region of Augustus, it was built on the site of an earlier building commissioned by him. And the second one was the Imperial Publius Aelius Hadrianus. The present building was completed by him. He retained Agrippa's original inscription, which has confused its date of construction. During medieval, the Byzantine imperial focus gave the building to Pope Boniface IV, who converted it into a Christian church and consecrated it to Santa Maria et Martyrs on 13 May 609. Since the resonance of Pantheon has been used as a tomb, it is one of the best preserved of all ancient Roman buildings because it has been in continuous use throughout its history. Let's talk about the foundation. The Pantheon was built on marshy, unstable earth which gave a serious supporting problem to its builders. The Romans built a second ring to hold the first ring from cracking further and to give the clay more area to support the substructure. The width of this ring foundation was 7.2 meter wide, only about 0.9 meter greater than the walls it supported. The second ring that binds the original together is 3 meter wide. From the floor level to the bottom of the foundation is 4.7 meter. These rings are made of pozzolan concrete, which consists of travertine pieces in layers held together by a mortar of lime and pozzolan.
The Pantheon wall, which is a round wall, contains many cavities and chambers at different levels. The wall structures are a series of concrete piers separated at floor level by 8 very large niches equally spaced along the inner perimeter. The wall acts like a buttress in supporting a truss from the dome. The pediment was decorated with relief sculpture made of bronze. For the columns, made of granite, which was 11.9 meters tall and 1.5 meters in diameter and 60 tons in weight. The large bronze doors to the cellar are once plated with gold. The rotonde. The 4,535 metric tons of weight of the Roman concrete dome is concentrated on a ring of voussoirs, which is French, 9.1 meters in diameter, that form the oculus, while the downward thrust of the dome is carried by 8 barrel walls in the thick drum wall, which is 6.4 meters, into 8 piers. The thickness of the dome varies from 6.4 meters at the base of the dome to 1.2 meters around the oculus. At the thickest point of the dome, the aggregate is travertine, then terracotta tiles. At the very top, tufa and pumice, both precious like stone, were the material used to make. At the very top, where the dome would be at its weakest and vulnerable part to collapse, the oculus does actually lightens the load. The interior of the dome was possibly intended to symbolize the arc wall of the heavens, which shown in the image. The oculus at the dome apex and the entry doors are the only natural source of light in the interiors. Throughout the day, the light of the oculus moves around the space in a reverse sundial effect. The oculus also serves as a cooling and ventilation method. During storm, a drainage system below the floor handles the rain that falls throughout the oculus.
Besides, the circus is the first and largest stadium during that time. In length, it has 621 meters long, while in width it is 180 meters. The whole stadium can occupy almost 150,000 spectators. After it is fully developed, the circuses became the model throughout the Roman Empire, and now it is a public park. This stadium was built by Tarquinius Priscus at first, which is the 5th Etruscan ruler of Rome. Moreover, rows of seats was surrounded the stadium, and it also have 3 stories high, called Forum of Spectacular, which rose one above another. In this Circus Maximus, normally the lowest seats were made of stone while the highest were made of wood. The senators and the equites have their own places to sit which have been allotted to them. Starting gates, permanent viewing stands and private boxes in the stadium are for the politicians, senators and important military personnel. An emperor box high up in the palace on the palatine was for the emperor and the royal family.
Okay. Now let's talk about the material used in the construction. In the early days, the circus was built using timber. The stone version was built later on the 2nd century of Roman Empire. But why stone? Using stone as a building materials will make the buildings more sturdier and less longer. But anyway, during the time, the Roman Empire was pretty much the richest one around. So, by changing the circus from wood to stone is pretty much no challenge for them. The medium sleeve was decorated with many monuments, including a fountain with 7 bronze dolphins and 7 enormous eggs, used to indicate how many laps it had been completed. And finally, 2 exhibition obelisks, because why not? The circus of Maximus is about 600 meters long and 100 meters wide. There is 2 turns at the nether ends of the racing circuit. Many thousands more would witness the event while standing on the neighboring hills. But after a fire damage, the structure was rebuilt many times. The Emperor Trajan rebuilt the structure with stones to reduce the damage in case a fire breaks out. To give you an idea how big it is, the historian report that 34 or 2 horses of chariots could simultaneously be released on the track.
Colosseum is an amphitheater which is a public building. Do you know that the Colosseum contained 45,000 sitting places and 5,000 standing places? The broad paved circular piazza that surrounded the amphitheater allowed easy access to every part of the facade. There were like about 80 entrance arches. Of these, the 4 at the extremities of the major and minor axes were forbidden to the public and not numbered. The design of the Colosseum was created to strike awe into everyone who saw this great building. It was a symbol of the power of Rome and its emperors. Its classical design features reminiscent of classical Greek architecture was meant to convey that Rome was also a great and civilized nation. The design of the Colosseum applied the latest in Roman arts, engineering, architecture, and other creative endeavors. The plan and design of the Colosseum was created for specific roles and effects. Its main role was to provide a permanent purpose-built arena in the center of ancient Rome for staging various forms of entertainment for the ancient Romans. Do you know that the Colosseum was the largest amphitheater in the Roman world? Its seating can be up to 80,000 Romans. The design of the massive, breathtaking structure conveyed the culture, wealth, might and power of the city of Rome and the Roman Empire.
The construction material used to build the Colosseum is known as travertine stone. The first level consisted of 7 meter high and 4.2 meter wide Doric order or style arches. The second level was designed with 6.4 meter high and 4.3 meter wide Ionic arches. The third level, 6.4 meter high and 4.3 meter wide Corinthian style arches. The design of the Colosseum displays a natural progression from the sturdiest and plainest arches, also known as Doric at the bottom, to the slenderest and richest arches, also known as Corinthian at the top. The Roman Colosseum included a design feature of a retractable awning called the velarium, which provided cover and shade to the spectators. The design of the Colosseum was later extended to incorporate hypogeum consisting of a 2-level subterranean network of tunnels and vertical shafts providing instant access to the arena for animals and the scenery. In conclusion, the dome permitted construction of vaulted ceilings without crossbeams and also made possible large covered public spaces. The Roman based much of the architecture on the dome. The most important Roman architectural innovation is known as the triumphal arch. Hypocauste was used in ancient Roman systems of underfloor heating. The Sicily truss roof and spiral stairs are largely used in ancient Roman times. Thank you for watching.